Hey everyone, it's Simon Sparld. Welcome back to MSEM's Grand Prix Hyderabad here. We are actually about to start game two. We have Froggy is up one game against Dravos. I inadvertently whacked the stop recording button, thinking I was just pausing my little mic here. And during game one, where we had a little bit of a snafu where I inadvertently provided outside assistance. So everything's very honest here. I accidentally called out a missed beneficial trigger, even if it was mandatory. So now that I am 100% clear on what I can and cannot call out here as a spectator, we are just going to go into game two. Unfortunately, we lost game one, but you didn't miss too much. Vile Progenitor, a lovely little card, came out, and essentially this little guy here came out, beat face, made a lot of tokens. So things have been addressed. I am now much more aware of what I can and cannot be doing here as a spectator omniscience here. But what we're going to do is while our players look at their sideboards, we are also going to take a look at their sideboards here. So these are a green-white sort of scam evoke deck against a green-based hyper ramp deck. So they're both going to go playing big things. We'll just kind of have to see what those things are. I'm imagining that sideboard-wise, there's not like amazing things that we can do. Event Horizon could be all right here for Froggy. Dravos has some pretty neat things here in the toolbox. Not 100% sure what's the right call to bring in here, but both players have already started, it seems, so we're going to go right back over to our match here. We're going to get a look at these opening hands, see if we notice anything from the sideboard. I think everything here is main board so far. So since this is, unfortunately, game two, we're going to give you another look here at the hands. We got a lot of lands in Shifting Glade, Mysterious Cataracts, Crumbling Shrine. Important cards are cards like Nitrous Renewer here, which when it enters is going to allow you to put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. So we're already going to be up a land here. In this case, it's going to be Crumbling Shrine, which is a lovely little card that when it enters tapped, it explores, and in this case, it pulled an extra land to the hand. So this is a nice, pretty good turn one here for Dravos, and these explore land cycles do a lot of work, especially the Crumbling Shrine. Over on Froggies, however, we've got a pretty good opener as well. We've got probably a turn one Runebound Disciple, which is going to allow us to mix and match freely our colors for mana value 5 or greater permanents. So there we see it's coming right off of this Resplendent Substratum. I think we can imagine that next turn, unless things get a little different, we might see something similar that we saw on game one. We are going to see Vile Progenitor be evoked, and probably going to see Glory of the Star exiling it. Now, we saw in the last game, this is one of the builds with Vile Progenitor here in the GP. One of them is more of your classic green elemental circle ramp build, and this one is more about playing flicker spells and landing huge value off of cards like Vile Progenitor, Amorphous Tyrant, and later things like Scion of Flourishing, which have some pretty strong enter the battlefield effects. So you've got Glory of the Star, which will flicker once and then flicker twice in a few turns as it has Compose. And then we've got Across the Planar Void, which functions a little better late game when you have some floating mana that you can throw into it to give your card an extra counter, but especially that flying counter tends to be pretty solid. Recall Forgotten Aeons here off of Dravos, which is draw 2 cards, play an additional land with Coalesce. Coalesce allows you to pay that cost, cast it from the graveyard, but it enters as a horror creature after it resolves as a 5/6. Of course, if it ever leaves the battlefield, it will be exiled. It'll be gone for good. So Lumbering Hillock being played here, a fetchable creature land here. It comes in as a 4/4 trample. Pretty decent, and it's nice to see that it's still seeing play after so many years. This card has been out for quite some time. We've also got a Captured Pale Tusk here, so it's not quite evoke, but it does have Primal. So it's 4 white for a 4/5. When it enters, you can search your library for a basic Plains card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. You gain 2 life, but you sacrifice it if it was cast for its Primal cost. So in this case, we're paying it for Primal. We're not playing a land. And then we're going to actually Glory of the Star, the Captured Pale Tusk. So it's going to enter, and we are going to get a basic Plains card onto the battlefield tapped. And I will not call it out if it gets missed, but we should also be getting a second one because that hits the card when it's on the field. So we would have had the enter the battlefield once and then enter the battlefield twice. So there we go. They both came out. They enter tapped, and we should be up 2 life and 2 life. So let's just make sure that happened. 1, 2, 3, 4. Super. And then we lost 1 life, I believe, from the Resplendent Substratum. We should be good to go. If ever we miss a little thing, yes, we cast Rampant Growth for white, but more so because there's still a 4/5 body left on the field. And so yeah, Pale Tusk is a nice little find. Yeah, so it's not just Rampant Growth, it's double Rampant Growth. You get a 4/5, you gain 4 life. But it did cost you, obviously, another card. So, and you did have to pay a land drop, that is correct. So, but you know, if you don't have a lot of lands in hand, you know, going to go find them is the best thing to do. All right. Super. So, let's see what we got here. Yes, Scam is pretty silly. You can expect cards like Vile Progenitor to get a slight hit during the month. Most likely, it's going to be a change to its toughness. I think that will open up the ability for it to be hit by -X sweepers as well. And we'll see if it requires an additional change somewhere on the either the evoke or the stuff. So I'm very open to changing my cards. All right, we've got Dravos here taking their turn. Let's see what happens. We've got a lot of mana out here. We got Ramsey. We've got Recall Forgotten Aeons as well. We're up to what, 4? Could be 5 on the turn. Next turn, after that, when we get to 6, we could get a Laren Alpha, which is nice to see being played. For a long time, I had a lot of issues with this card. I felt it just did too much. Now it's kind of just fallen off because there's like crazier things to be doing apparently, but it's still a 4/4 for 6 with Trample that makes 2/2 green wolves with haste, and whenever a creature you control deals damage to an opponent, you put a counter on that creature. I believe maybe it used to create 3 wolves. I might be completely mistaken. It's been a while since I've looked at the card, but it's in a, as we say, it's in a better place now. I'm actually going to go check out right now. I believe we have the ability to check the change logs. Yes, it used to create 3 wolves. That's what I remember. The wolves, the fact that it just made also 6/6 of bodies. Now it only creates 2. So we fired off another Recall Forgotten Aeons here. We drew into a Petal Scatterer and a Tyrant of Tributes. Tyrant of Tributes is just a phenomenal top end here. If you cheat it into play, your opponent's going to sacrifice, you know, half their board, and you're going to gain a bunch of life. So not only do you set them down by a lot, you also, you know, buy yourself some time. And in a board state against Froggy, where Vile Progenitor could have been making a lot of tokens, that could have been a lot of things to sacrifice, but ultimately it doesn't matter. You know, your opponent's got 4 or 5 things, they're going to be sacrificing quite a few things. So. All right, so we are running out the Petal Scatterer here. Creates a Blossom token. It's has enchant land and it has tap, add green, which is the same as one of our other auras. I think both of them were changed to be just tap, add green instead of adding green as an additional whenever the land becomes tapped. It's actually been a pretty good balance. What's nice about Petal Scatterer is that it might just be a 1/1 at the start, but it grows for each non-creature, non-land permanent you control. So there's a lot of ways of making it really big. And some of the things you can do involve, you know, just putting auras on lands or creating a bunch of, you know, adjudicate auras, a lot of stuff. So, and yeah, this is a really good turn 3. Yes, because turn 1 we nitrous, turn 2 we did recall, and then we did a recall again. A lot of stuff going on. So. But as Dravo says, I got the feeling that I'm going to be stomped on just a little bit. So, Pale Tusk is a dinosaur, correct? Wow, I forgot it was a dino. You might recognize the art. I believe it's from Hearthstone. I think it's a Kodo. I might be wrong here, but I think that's what I remember. Okay, let's go over to Froggy's turn. We drew into a Cantrip of Old Magic. Oh, that's a great card. So it's a 4/3 within Spirit, which means you can exile a non-enchantment creature you control until it leaves the battlefield or fails to resolve. And it just simply costs that much less. And when it enters, you bring back a card from your graveyard to your hand. So it can be a very cheap way of recurring something. And, uh-oh, here we go. Death by horror, not again, as the players say. We got Vile Progenitor being cast here for Evoke, I believe. And then we're going to Across the Planar Void the lovely Vile Progenitor. Love this little artwork. It's a pretty little friend. Yeah, as I said, this card right now is doing a lot in combination with the scam stuff. I mean, I'm glad that we're using Runebound Disciple and not Green Elemental Circle, because GEC is a lot harder to hit. I mean, if you take out cards like Runebound, it gets a little slower. But yes, it does currently put an absurd amount of power on the board and toughness. So you can probably bet that that 4 toughness on Vile Progenitor is not going to stick. Alrighty, passing it back. So, of course, they don't have haste, which is, nice. Gives a little bit of breathing room, because now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got a land to play here. Yeah, it looks like there was a land drop was forgotten here, but it happens. Mysterious Cataract is coming out. There it is. One of our lovely little shock lands. If we're playing it untapped, there's going to be a 2 life payment here. There we go. We're going to sacrifice it. That will bring us to our 8th. So it could be a Tyrant of Tributes here. I'm not sure the other cards do quite enough. I think forcing the opponent to get rid of quite a few things is probably what I would be doing here. So yeah, 8 Tyrant of Tributes. I love how the players are just trading death by card type, right? So death by dinosaur, death by beast, horror, death by dragon. So Tyrant resolves. 6/6 flyer is also just a nice body here. That can block a lot of stuff. And now Froggy's got to make an unfortunate decision here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I believe, because I believe that Saga token does count. And it is rounded up. So that is going to be sacrifice 5 permanents, gain 5 life. So Dravos goes back up to 20. And now you're going to have to get rid of 5 things. It could be, 2 tokens, the Saga token. That could be something you could do. I mean, Runebound at that point is probably what I would get rid of. It's a shame for getting up to Scion. It's going to be a little hard. And 1 land. Yep. Okay. Pretty much what I was going to do. I would have kept the things that we can actually play with. Though there was maybe, a thought about maybe being okay with losing the Pale Tusk, but then again, having some big bodies on the field is not horrible. Of course, one of the things is now we're going to see cards like Layer and Alpha going to be able to come out, and Tyrant of Tributes can probably start growing, so it'll be interesting. For all that the scam build did here, it was manageable, so it's nice to know that it's not a uninteractable deck, let's say, but I mean, these are still pretty beefy. When we drop that Plains, we're going to get another 3/2. Then you've got, if you can ever get up to a 6 point of strength, that Amorphous Tyrant could do some work here. Cantrip of Old Magic can cost 4 less if you get rid of one of these, and then you can bring back one of the Flicker cards, then you can Flicker Cantra, and then you have a sort of a little combo shell going, right? Because every time you Flicker the Cantra, it can enter and bring back one of the... Okay, well, there it is. Cantrip of Old Magic. Let's see which card, maybe Pale Tusk, because you want to be flickering the Vile Progenitor, but we'll see. It's as you cast, though. Yeah, okay. So we're saying that we're casting while Inspiriting Vile. Okay, that's fine. I'm assuming... Yes, Cantrip costs only G because you're reducing it by 5. So Cantrip is going to come in. I believe we're going to be picking up this Across the Planar Void. Vile's going to leave the field for a little bit. Yeah. Most people just tend to attach it to the card because it's exiled until it leaves the battlefield. Yeah, like that. Wondering if there was maybe a thought to playing the Plains ahead of time to trigger, because now it's going to be a new instance. So you would have had a... Okay, well, we got back Across the Planar Void like we thought. We're going to play Resplendent Substratum. Oh, interesting. We're going to Amorphous Tyrant. Oh, okay. I see what we're going to do here, actually. This is kind of neat. All right, we're going to go for the removal play. Yeah, sorry. We're going to do Amorphous Tyrant, and then we're going to flicker the Amorphous Tyrant. Wow, I was getting too locked into thinking about building up our board life. I didn't just completely forgot that we can just across the planar avoid the Amorphous Tyrant, and we can take out some stuff. So, what? Yeah, okay. So Pale Tusk punches, and then, yep, we're flickering, and then we're doing it again. And then, yeah. There we go. All right, the Dinosaur Beast went toe-to-toe with the Dragon, gave it a 2-1, quick 1-2. And the board looking a little better. I was getting really lost into thinking about how can we do these across the planar loops, because now the problem is planar void is stuck in your yard. I mean, of course, you can draw other ways into it, and if it's totally correct. I mean, you built up a really scary board here. You've got a 6/5 reach and vigilance, 4/5, 4/3. Like, it's totally fine. I was too lost in thinking about we need to keep across the planar void in hand and keep getting value off of it, but I mean we're fine. Funny thing is, this is also a 6/5 reach vigilance, which will happily block future Tyrant of Tributes. It would be really scary if just Dravos drew into them, because now that you're just at a hard 8, you're not even cheating these things into play, you're just hard casting them. And everyone that you drop just kind of like sweeps up quite a bit of the board, but it's nice that the Vial is under the Contra. A lot of little things here. So yeah, players are doing some big scary things, but both players are recovering back to back. For example, on this turn, like Laren Alpha is not going to be nothing. It's going to be a 4/4 with 2/2/2s. The problem is this 6/5 and this 4/5 block pretty well. Love it. All right. I would also be thinking pretty hard in the tank here. We haven't really seen anything from the sideboards come out yet, I believe. I'm just checking here in the list. The recalls, the Tyrant, I believe, were all main board cards. Let me do a quick check here. Pretty sure you run Tyrant. Yeah, there's a Tyrant of Tributes here. I don't believe there's an extra one in the sideboard, so that's definitely a main board. All right, so we're going to just be hard casting these Recall Forgotten Aeons. So we're going to draw 2, play another land, and just start bringing out our 5/6s. And there should be another Recall in the yard. So we definitely have another one lined up. Good stuff all around. Tapping a few more. Probably. How much did we just tap here? Ramsey? Yeah, I'm not surprised. So Ramsey mana. I'm imagining we're going to see the Adjudicate here on the forest that can tap for green, because that's the most mana you can get. And now our Petal Scatterer should be a 3/3. Now that we have another one of these auras on. So growing a little bit. It's not horrible. Still a lot to deal with here. Thankfully, none of these have like trample, so these 0/1s are gonna actually block pretty well if you really need to throw them into the board. 5/6 trades with the 6/5. In fact, the 5/6 eats the Pale Tusk or eats the Contra. So it's a really decent body here on Recall Forgotten Aeons. There's a reason why this card just sees continuous play. Lovely stuff. Alrighty, passing it back. We drew into another Vile Progenitor. All right, that's actually nice to have a fresh one here for the landfall. We have a Scion of Flourishing here with the alt art from the MSEM cube here. As I mentioned, it's a 5/5 trample by itself, but when it enters, you put a counter on each other creature you control, and it gives them all trample. And whenever you play a forest, you Aetherize Scion of Flourishing. Scion of Flourishing. Some words are really coming out hard today, I swear. So we're just going to evoke the Vile Progenitor, it looks like. Kind of hard to hard cast, but the fact that it just has a little mode to get a 3/2 is not nothing. Love these little 3/2 horror tokens. They are so pretty. All right, we're going to see our first combat. Amorphous Tyrant is swinging in. I'm going to assume a trade. But the question is, I mean, because you can bring out your other recall Forgotten Aeons on the following turn, and the Amorphous Tyrant is definitely pretty big. It has vigilance because, you know, in the format, it's important to be able to block a few flyers, and it doesn't have trample, so it needed something different. That's why it's a reach vigilance. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So, like I said, we're seeing the trade here. I mean, that looks fine with me. You've got the other one in the yard, and you can always draw into some big, like, you have some big stuff here in hand. You can actually hard cast Rova the Flesh Weaver, which is really interesting because if you do, it's a 7/7, and when it enters, it'll be an 8/8, and then because it's not a token, you'll untap each land you control. So it's really good. And until your next turn, you can cast permanent spells as though they had flash. Like Rova's non-token mode is very good. So you do have to, of course, get to a full 7 mana with triple green. But we did it the let's say the legal way here. We've got like excess mana though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We could even have 10, 11 if we sacrifice that. And which means, you know, we're netting 4, then we can go back up to another 11, 15. Like there's a lot of stuff we can do here. Travis is hilarious. Did you read that? I mean, I absolutely would have done the same thing, but it's currently making it harder for me to win. So it's a terrible design choice. I understand that feeling, having been in that same sort of. Let's see if the math is right. Yeah, that's 3. So Petal Scatterer. I'm assuming we're going to give another land a tap green green. Your scatters are going to grow to 4/4s. I appreciate that players are taking their time and putting things in here. Like, you never know. But, I mean, you know your opponent's deck list. You know they're not running Fade or something or one of the white counter spells. So we're going to have Blossom. I believe it's going to go on a different land, I would imagine, this time. They don't stack, though. Okay, well, we can't tell them that, but... let's see. That should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah? Uh-huh. All right, let's just make sure because again, we just put a double blossom here, and those definitely do not stack. So we'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that correct though? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, 1, 2, 3. Hold on. This I can count. I know I'm allowed to say that, right? I'm just gonna ask if they did the mana right. Because Blossom doesn't stack. It's just the land has tap green. Okay, cool. I mean, you can still use the Adjudicate aura. So this one I know I was allowed to call out because we were mistapping mana here. I mean, you can still do what you're doing here. You crack your Adjudicate, but I'm not gonna tell them, right? Like, yeah, okay, there we go. And now you should have one extra green in the main, but anyway. So Rova enters, everything gets a counter. It's not a token. You get to untap each land you control. Okay, I wasn't allowed to tell them because that's a trigger. We untap each land. And then the neat thing is until your next turn, you get to cast permanent spells as though they had flash. So people were a little like, Rova's probably not too good. I'm happy that we can finally see it in a match here because this is exactly what it was designed for. This really big, ETB here. And the crazy thing is that it'll happen when you attack. You'll put a counter, you'll untap each land, and you'll be able to cast stuff. So, Bear Umbra, you know. I'm happy that Rova is seeing some play. People were really sort of like not so high on it for a while, so I'm glad that that's not the case here. Like this seems exactly like what you want it to do. But we're passing the turn, not attacking. I mean, yeah, our hits aren't phenomenal. I mean, they're not. Yeah, I guess your 4/4s get blocked by the Pale Tusk, which is not ideal. So maybe you can wait for the Ramsey next turn, and they're going to be 5/5s. You have an 8/8 here, and everything's going to grow with one more attack. So yeah, okay. I see holding off is totally fine here. Timber Range, nice. That'll be up to a 5th land, which means we're in Scion of Flourishing mana. We don't have anything in the yard here that's coming back out, I believe, unfortunately. But yeah, Froggy's like, yeah, I'm about to get really stomped. So that's going to be a game 3 here, I believe, because it's 1-1. Like I said, we missed game 1. So I apologize for that very silly mistake. I'm really used to some things just being volume pause, and I just, totally whacked the stop the recording button. So this should be one more game. Just gonna see if players are chatting a little bit, but yeah, RFE did a lot of work there. Just gonna confirm, right? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we do definitely have one more. So what we're going to do is while the players sort their stuff out, we're going to do a quick check back in. Look at those sideboards and those deck lists again. Again, feel free to pause at any of the cards, but we've seen most of them. We haven't seen Duchess Odelia, which gets you non-land permanents with exactly a mana value of 1, which can be your Mana Ascetics, your Runebound Disciple, and of course it can be your 10 copies. Oh no, this is a 2/1. So these two, your 8 copies, or it could be your green elemental circles. It is in the deck. We haven't seen one drawn is the thing. So our players went by fast. Looks like they didn't need to think on that sideboard anymore. So here we go. Let's check the hands. Do I see anything from the sideboard being brought in? Does not look like it. Not exactly the kind of matchup anyway that there's too much that you can bring in. I guess there's some removal, but removal doesn't tend to line up too well into what's going on here. Froggy, unfortunately, seems to be going down to 5. Shuffled, shuffled, shuffled. Yeah, that's a pretty rough start. Over in Dravos' hand, we've got a lot of early mana, a Nitrous Renewer, some Ramses, a Recall. We can start ramping and growing really fast. Okay, well, that's okay. We accidentally threw a card to the graveyard, but it goes on the bottom of the library. We haven't seen this played yet, but it's on repeat. Lets you exile a creature or an enchantment you control, then bring it back to the battlefield in your control. And the scary thing about on repeat, if you look at the second ability, is you can cast on repeat from your graveyard at any time. You can cast a sorcery by discarding a land card. So it's essentially got Retrace. Retrace on the Flicker is really nice. So there's a lot of stuff we can do with that. And the Duchess can go find our Flickers. We have a Pale Tusk. There's things we could do. I'm assuming here this Timber Range is going to go out, fetch one of our... Okay, so there was Forbidden Treasure. That does make sense. Forbidden Treasure lets you counter an instance and sorcery spells. So I do understand why that was brought in from the sideboard. Like I was saying, we're going to go get a card like Rampant Summit. Nitrous Renewer is going to come in, and we are going to just put in another land, this Lush Oasis. But it will enter tap because we do not control a basic forest or a basic island. Alrighty. Passing it back here, we do have the plains if you want to go with Duchess Odelia. Green Elemental Circle is nice, but we don't have the cards right now to profit from it. I mean, Captured Pale Tusk would give you a card. Apologies for that. Captured Pale Tusk can give you a card, but it will not get the 1 mana reduction because the Primal by itself is just white. So, Timber Range was sacked. We found a Resplendent Substratum here. The question is, do you... I don't think you just tank the Pale Tusk, do you? This is like your only big value thing to flicker, but maybe it's correct. I don't know. No, I'm happy to see that we're doing something else. We're paying 2. Duchess is coming out. We're going to go and get one of our cards. So I'm assuming we're going to go and get one of our flickers. I would imagine the one with Compose. So I assume we're going to see... Glory of the Star, maybe? Oh. Interesting. Okay, we're getting another green elemental circle. Let me think on that real quick. If we're doing that, we're not doing the Captured Pale Tusk Primal on repeat because we don't have a 3rd land right now. I thought that the plan was going to be Primal for white, white, flicker, 2 planes enter, tap, gain 4 life. I think that's what I thought we were going to do. Okay. Well, we'll see. I'm not the player. I'm not in the seat, and like this list has a lot of moving parts. Up here, what do we got? We drew into a Wayfarer's Shrine, which is our format's Prismatic Vista. We have a lot of Ramses. You've got the 1, 2, 3. I mean, I think getting early recalls is really nice just because it keeps your hand full and you're already uplands. Ramsey is nice as well. Like, they don't chain into each other all that well, but, you know, I hope that we see recall here. I think that's what I would do. There is an argument for keeping the mana up for Forbidden Treasure. I could see that. I mean, doesn't feel horrible if we're just going to play out a Ramsey. I mean, it's going to Adjudicate. You're going to get an Antelope. You have a 0/2. And then you can crack the Adjudicate to untap a land if you really need to use Forbidden Treasure. So that could also be a reason to do that early. Yeah. So there's our Antelope. Adjudicate, I'm assuming, is going to go on Lush Oasis or not. All right. Never mind. I assume that was going to be on... Okay, all right. Decision was changed. All right, so on Lush Oasis, that means... Okay, I don't know what's going on here, but we're going to let Dravos just finish figuring out the land aura situation here. I mean, I think there's almost no reason not to put it on the green-blue. I mean, you want your Forbidden Treasure to be available. It only hits instants and sorceries, so, you know, it can hit on repeat or something like that, but... Okay, we drew into a Mana Ascetic, which is kind of like our Rune Bounds. It's just a Bird of Paradise without flying, so it is what it is. So we're just playing a Captured Pale Tusk here with no flicker, which is it's fine. We're going to get a normal planes enter tapped. We're going to gain 2 life, and then it's going to be sacrificed. Alrighty. I also find it interesting. Again, Froggy's maybe thinking 5 steps ahead of us where I'm not seeing the play. So definitely something to keep in mind here. All right, so back over. In the end, we did not need to use the Forbidden Treasure, so that's still in the hand. The island is out. We're at 4 lands, 5 if we want to use that real quick. I'm assuming this is the recall here. Okay, good. So recall, draw 2, play an additional land. We drew into the Lumbering Hillock. We're going to be able to drop that Lumbering Hillock into play tapped. We've also got a Primal Resurgence here in the hand, which is, like I said, the non-creature form of Petal Scatterer. Like Blossom does the same thing as it now. It was a nice little fix that Council applied so that we weren't wild growthing anymore in the format. That proved to be just a little too hard to interact with, and the combo potential was just a little ridiculous. So Hillock comes in. We've got an untapped blue, and the nice thing is you can tap it, you can crack the aura and untap and then tap it again. So we do have access to double green, double blue if we need to, which would allow us to get that Forbidden Treasure up. I mean, it's not a horrible thing to keep up. You know your opponent's going to want to do some flicker shenanigans. So right now, Froggy's deck isn't doing much. I mean, Duchess by herself, again, is kind of like just part of the chain of getting the card that you need, but once it's out, it doesn't do too much. Ancestral Glade is really nice to see here. I'm always happy to see this card cycle being played. You pay a life to have it untapped. They are typed, so they're forest, you can fetch them. And then they fetch all your basics. So your basic lands you control have tap, add green. So your planes can now pay for green. So green elemental circles coming out, followed by another green elemental circle, which, again, having two is not bad. If you manage to cast even a single green spell with mana value 5 or greater, it's going to cost 2 less, and you're going to draw 2 cards. So maybe that's what we're playing towards. We're going to go and find something really big, and we're going to net insane amounts of mana. Well, not mana, but... okay, yeah, Glade. We're good. We got Glade out. There's one for each color, so if ever you like them, they're in the Seasons of War land fixing. What's really nice about cards like Glade is you can actually run like a heavy other color mana base and then fetch the Glade when you need to shift it to the other color. So it does some neat things. Okay. Let's see what we got. Petal Scatterer is nice. Again, it's a fun card. Blossom, you know, it's because it's the Primal Resurgence, but at the same time, the fact that Petal Scatterer can start growing into a threat is very neat. So Froggy hasn't fielded anything scary. So that's like, you're getting a lot of breathing room here. Double Ramsey, obviously, not particularly great, and you've got no lands, so yeah, there's some stuff you can do. You got the one recalls in the yard. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Primal Resurgence on the Lush could be, let's say you pay the 1 here and you put it here. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sacrifice 6, 7, which could be the recall Forgotten Aeons. You still have the 1 blue from your island, even if you convert all this into green and green. And then a recall Forgotten Aeons would, you know, be a 5/6 body on the board, and that's not a horrible place to be. You'd have another Antelope because of Primal Resurgence, I believe, right? Because it's whenever an aura becomes attached to a land. And, all right, let's see if that's the play that happens. Primal Resurgence. Yep, going on the Lush Oasis. Very happy with that new art from the MSL set from last winter. So there we go. Tapping it all. Oh, okay, no, we're doing the Petal Scatterer. That's totally cool too. 1, 2, 3 Scatterer is going to make another Blossom here. Yeah, we don't have to all in on the recall if you want to just build out. It is pretty warm here, let me tell you where I'm stationed. I wish that at 7:44 p.m. I wish the weather was just a little bit better. Hopefully after these next couple of weeks as we head into... we are technically already mid-September. My gosh. As we head into maybe late September, I would enjoy it if the weather could just drop a little bit. I could crack open the window in my room, we get a little air in. In the meantime, I've got like a small fan that's blowing in the side, but my gosh. All right, so we're using Blossom properly. Here we go. So now we've got 1, 2, 3. Now we've got a lot of mana here. We don't even have to use the Adjudicate because we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's pretty nice. So we're gonna cycle the Ramses, which is always funny. We're gonna get another Antelope. Okay, I think that was the missing Antelope from, or maybe that's both trigger. I don't know. There was one missing, and now we're putting it on that one as well. Neat. Are we doing it this turn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? No. We'd have to untap it with one and then untap it with the other. Just having a lot of antelopes is nice. But you do have, 3 permanents attached here. 1, 2, 3. So that's, 4 with the blossom. So yeah, petal scatter is up to a 5/5. So yep, we went wide. We use our resources well. I mean, nitrous renewer is kind of stuck in the yard right now in the hand, but it's a 4 mana. You have to exile it from your graveyard. So you got to find a way to get it to the yard, and it gets any land card from your graveyard back. In this case, one of the shock fetches is normally what happens. Pretty cool card. I'm happy that we have this effect at a reasonable rate. I mean, a 0/1 is the body that we want. We used to have like a 0/3 for one that did it, and then it would grow into a 3/3, so it was kind of nuts. It's I believe it costs 2 mana now, so it's not as great. Okay, but here's where we're at. We're drawing more of our flickers. Funnily enough, the Forbidden Treasure in hand can definitely do something. So we're going to try doing Glory of the Star on the Duchess. I mean, we could always just do the on repeat as well, so it's not like... Okay. Yeah, all right. So we cracked one of our Adjudicates, and now we're going to do Forbidden Treasure. So tapping blue here with the island. So Treasure is going to go find all copies of that. Let's see if anything else from the sideboard came in. I'm actually quite curious. Nothing. Honestly, I don't see anything here that was in the sideboard. I guess there's just not much in Froggy's sideboard that you'd want to hit. So it's going to pull out all the Glories of the Stars, which as 1 mana... You're going to see that it's going to be a bunch of... We can still go get Acrosses, which I would imagine is what we're looking for, but I don't know. We've got the green elementals, and like this can only fetch cards that have mana 1, and you can't fetch lands. Oh, actually not even. It's a non-land permanent card with mana value 1. See, that's my bad. I was thinking, hey, let's use Duchess Adelia to get these flickers. This can only pull green elemental circle. It's permanent cards. You guys must have been in the comments telling me times. You don't know what you're talking about. It can get the mana dorks, and it can get the green elemental circles. It cannot get the flicker spells, which is fair. It's totally fair. So on repeats being fired off. This one's neat because if ever you draw lands, I mean, you can definitely reuse it. So the question is here, are we getting more green elemental circles? I think you do at this point, right? Like you want to hedge your bets that as soon as you draw something that costs mana value 5 or greater, that it's going to cost you almost nothing to cast, and that it's going to immediately draw you 3 cards. So you're just thankful that your opponent's not running a card that has like an easy sweep where X equals 1, because your board would just, crumble here, Yeah, okay, Froggy's pretty much confirming. In case we ever draw something big. Speaking of big things, on Dravos' board here, we've got the 5/5 still. We've got a bunch of antelopes, and we know that there's going to be a Recall Forgotten Aeons here. Crumbling Shrine is neat because of the Explore, right? It'll pull it if it's a land, or you can always just leave it on top, or put it into your yard if it's not something that you need. So, I mean, if it's a land, you can then Nitrous Renewer. Like, there's a few things you can do. So it's going to be Crumbling. I'm assuming... Oh, well, here's the fun thing. You can leave Recall on top. You can bin it. I would just leave it on top. You've already got one in the yard, right? Nope. Let's see what we're doing. Is that going to be bin for the cat? I mean, I don't see why you would. I would just put it in... Because how much mana do you have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can't do it twice. But you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... 10, which could be a 7 and a 3. So that would be, you could do Recall Forgotten. Anyway, you're doing this Recall this turn, so next turn you could go 3 and 10. Right? I would have left it on top, and it looks like that's what we did here. So, yeah, a lot of math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should be exactly 7. So that'll be the one that's in the yard. We're going to draw 2 cards. We're going to play an additional land. There's the Recall. Hey, another Forbidden Treasure. That's actually quite fun. Not sure it's going to get many hits, like on repeat maybe, if ever that gets cast. But I think it'll be hard to use now that we're down to just 1 Adjudicate here. I mean, honestly, it's just the fact that we have a 5/6. I do believe that Petal Scatterer should be a 4/4 now because we cracked one of them, correct? 1, 2, 3. Just let me type it correctly. Hold up. Okay. Didn't even have to get there. There we go. Okay, they figured it out. So we're swinging for 4, 5, 6, 7 here. A good chunk. I mean, you're probably not wanting to throw too much in. I mean, obviously the 1/2 can go and block the 1/1. I would imagine you just take 6 damage here on the chin because you want to have that extra piece of mana, I would imagine, just in case. Even if they cost 3 less. I don't know. I mean, maybe you want to soak 4. I mean, you know it's going to get... There's going to get scarier stuff. They don't have trample. Wondering what I would do in this situation. I have a feeling I would just be willing. I'm at 20 life. I feel like I would be fine letting the 4 in, but I would definitely block some of these antelopes, like, while we're here. Oh, never mind. We're chumping Scatterer with Odelia. Okay. Sounds good. All right. I'm not saying that's incorrect. Sometimes you just say, hey, I don't want to take a big chunk of 4, but, you know, took 3. All right, let's see what the draw is. That's kind of funny. I hope Froggy finds it as funny as I do. Froggy does not appear to be finding it as funny as I do. Let me tell you, if we draw into a mana value 5 or greater creature, something really scary is going to happen. We are going to immediately start chaining hard casting vile progenitors, drawing 4 cards, and doing some nasty, gross stuff, which is, again, why I said it could be interesting to have. But, so, yeah, I mean, these nitruses aren't great either, but I think this is the turn where I think if we counted correctly... I mean, don't say you don't have any haymakers. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You cast your first Recall Forgotten Aeons, right? You're going to draw 2 cards. You'll play an additional land. So if you draw either of those, you're in the money. And then you hard cast it again, getting another 5, 6. So let's see. There's the 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and we knew there was an RFE. Your opponent should know there was an RFE because you explored it. There's 2 lands. I mean, sorry, there's the land. I mean, there's 2 cards. And you drew into an Ornery Bloom, which is always nice because it's draw 2 cards and then you get a tapped Lotus Petal. So, a lot of ramp stuff. We don't see Ornery Bloom, I feel, all that much. So, yeah. I mean, Cataract is not horrible. It's an extra land. You can always opt not to use that additional land play, but like, yeah, have it. Might as well, right? I mean, your opponent's not packing something that can deal with a really wide board, right? I have a feeling the correct thing is just like, you know, fire it off. Go. I mean, yeah, there's the concern that your opponent's going to draw the nuts draw a mana value 5 or greater, and then is going to like infinite chain. I 100% understand that. It's not a May, which is really interesting, but I mean, not that that'll matter here. But I mean, having another 5/6 blocker seems relevant. I guess maybe you're concerned about the repeat, so you want to keep Forbidden Treasure mana up, and you've already got a pretty solid board. I mean, you're going to be swinging 9, 10, 11, 12 here. You can definitely leave your O2, your O1 back. You know that there's no trample on... Okay. Mysterious Cataract went and found the Shifting Glade here. So now I don't think we even need to use that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we do. Okay, still do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Obviously 7, 8. Now we're at 1 extra. I mean, not that you really want to play a Nitrous Renewer here, right? All right. Let's see if we're doing it. We're doing something, obviously. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're just going to Ornery Bloom. That's totally fine. Drawing 2 cards. Primal Resurgence, Epic Encounter. The Lotus Petal is a non-creature, non-land permanent, so Petal Scatter is going to become a 5/5. Primal Resurgence could make it into a 6/6. And Epic Encounter is really cool because you can reveal a legendary card you own from outside the game and put into your hand. So there's quite a few legendary cards out there that could get grabbed here by Dravos. So while they think on that, we can check real quick here. Here in the library, we've got cards like Secret Elizabeth is legendary, Zubaija is legendary, Rova. Man, Rova would be really gross, actually. Helen, Lozai, Simul, Liactru. I mean, you got a whole suite here of your sideboard becoming a wish board. So feel free to pause and check out each of these. There's just some really solid options for Epic Encounter. So yeah, Dravos is actually looking at the sideboard because like, hey, I drew Epic Encounter. That's really cool that there's a ramp deck that's also like, hey, I've also got Epic Encounter because I'm going to get enough mana and I'm going to go and find myself something really scary. And if you're wondering why there's Mewtwo on it, well, that's because Monsters of GQ here is our Pokemon. I almost hesitate to call it a fan set. It definitely is, but it's not one of those we shoehorned Pokemon mechanics into Magic and it's more Pokemon. It's really what if the world of Pokemon was a Magic set. It takes it very seriously, and it's one of my favorite sets. And if you like that kind of stuff, Cajun is definitely working on the sequel. Not necessarily headed for MSEM. It's headed to our sister format Revolution, I believe. But it is GQ Chaos Reigns, and I believe that one continues the story from Monsters of GQ, which was Kanto and Johto, and then the second set, Chaos Reigns, takes place more in the Hoenn region equivalent. So really cool stuff. So speaking of Epic Encounter, we're firing it off here. A lot of stuff that could be grabbed. I'd be very happy as a designer of Rova if that's what we end up getting, just because Rova, when it enters, untaps all your lands and makes everything grow, and you can cast stuff. So, but you know, there's lots of good cards in the sideboard right now that would be good here. I mean, the board's already at such a big advantage. The one thing you're obviously concerned with is the absolute absurd combo potential that could happen if Froggy draws like a single mana value 5 or greater creature. And like they've given you a lot of breathing room, but you can't take it for granted. You really need to be, okay, at any moment now, the entire board could explode and I'm going to have to deal with some really big stuff. Okay, so we went for Zubaija. Let's check it out. It's a 3/4 for 3. Lets you play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever a land you control enters this turn, it deals 3 damage to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Very neat. And then when you activate its god form, until end of turn, all your... Oh, okay, well, of course, I forgot that the god mode was just a win button. Until end of turn, all your lands become 3/3 spirit creatures with indestructible and haste that are still lands, and you untap them. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana, I believe that we're able to get to that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, we've got it, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, no, 14. We have to get to 14. We don't quite have it in a single turn. Let me try that again. We're going for attacks. We're going to let Froggy think about what they want to do here, but I forgot we had the little petal. So we have 2 because of the blossom, right? Another 2, another 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And we need 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're just missing like the 1 land, which high chance that we draw it anyway, right? That's a forest. I totally understand why Froggy is just like, that's it. Like it could 100% guarantee if that was a creature with mana value 5 or greater, that would have just been an explosive round. I apologize for like misreading Duchess. I totally thought I could get the fetch, the flicker cards. It totally can't, which is why Green Elemental Circle was a totally fine pick over the mana dorks. So no issues there. I'm surprised we didn't go for the Captured Pale Tusk play, but if you're playing around the flicker, so yeah, let's see. Oh boy, looks like the next draw was also a land, then a Scion. All right, yeah. And again, apologies for the missing game 1. Like I said, you didn't miss too much. It was a very quick scam, overran, and attack, but there just was a lot of dead air. as we had a judge call, and also I misspoke, and I shouldn't have mentioned the triggers, and I will definitely know that for next time. So Dravos here takes the win on a 2-1 against Scam. Not that Scam can't do some crazy things like we saw, but you know, if you wrong half your deck, that is what can happen. So thanks for sticking around for such a long match. I hope you still appreciated it. I know commentary can be a little tough when the matches run long, but hopefully you continue watching our content and those of our other content creators here. And have a great one. Hopefully you can see a little more about the Grand Prix as we head into round 3, starting later tonight and tomorrow. So take care. Have a good one.